We're going live.
Good.
Hang on one second. We are live. That's you.
Hello.
Hi.
Hi.
And let's see. How do I get us both up here at the same time? Bear with me one second.
That's okay. I know you've done it.
I've done it.
I have little arrows on mine. You want me?
Here
You
we
did
go.
it.
Here we
There
go.
you go.
So,
Great.
thank you for joining me, Monica. Today is the first Sips and Spotlights. We're going to do this every Friday at 5 o'clock. We're going to pour something to sip and spotlight something in the travel industry. And also answer any questions. I'm going to be monitoring our live on Facebook to see if anybody has any questions as well. Let me just pull that up here. But today we're going to talk about Ireland, because we're going to Ireland on April 11th with Adams and Butler. We're very excited about that. We're going to do another one of our flavors and fun. And you're going to do a 45-minute hands-on cooking lesson of an amazing recipe that I was editing this week, like a very nice spring recipe of a green soup.
Very springy, very Irish looking for its green, but also Irish in its ingredients and its inspiration. So
Great.
I think it's lovely.
Great. So let's start first. What are you sipping today?
Oh, well, I decided to go all Irish tonight, and I am sipping something called, let me make sure I go the right direction. Oops,
Other way.
Other way. Okay, and turn it the other way. There we go. It's all backwards. Short Cross Gin. And this is a lovely small batch gin made in Northern Ireland. And I have, as you can see, enjoyed most of it.
Just a little bit left.
There's a wee dram left for tonight, and I'm going to pour it over a giant ice cube.
You showed me that ice cube. Show us the ice cube. That's amazing. And you even have a glass that matches.
I do. I have been known to order a case of this and have it shipped to the US because you can't purchase it here yet. And the last time I did, I asked them if I could purchase some glasses, and this is what they sent me.
That's amazing. Amy says you seem to like your gin, Monica. We both are big gin fans. That's one of the things we bonded over, is we both love gin. So did you discover that on one of your trips to Northern Ireland?
Yes, I did, actually. Long story, but my husband and I worked for an Irish company, and that's how we met years ago.
Oh, I didn't know that. I don't think I ever knew that.
Yes.
That's how you and Mike met.
We met, and we worked for the American side of a Belfast-based company. And the gentleman that founded Short Cross worked there and was friends with very good friends of ours. And so, I don't know, 5 years ago, maybe longer, he decided to start making gin. And he's opened a very beautiful distillery on an estate in Northern Ireland called Rademon, Raedemon. And we visited there. I fell in love with the gin, and they sell it in the duty free in Dublin.
That sounds fantastic. I can't wait to go with you once things open up. What does that gin taste like, or are there any distinctive qualities about it, or?
All of the botanicals are sourced from the estate. So, and of course it's top secret what the combination is. It's beautiful straight. I don't usually put tonic in it. I like it straight. It's got just a lovely herbal flavor to it. And it's not as bitey as some of the straight gins. Okay. But it's wonderful. I'm trying to see if they list, I think
it's probably proprietary. They don't want anybody to know what's in it.
Correct. So it's made in Downpatrick, Crossgar, County Down.
Okay. And that's in Northern Ireland, you said?
That is in Northern Ireland. Yeah. It's maybe 40 minutes south of Belfast.
Okay.
Towards the Republic.
Well, I am still in Italy, so I'm still partaking of the Malfi gin that you talked about in our very last cooking lesson for the flavors and fun of Italy. And ironically, this gin has components from all three of our destinations, right? It had elements from Sicily, elements from Tuscany, and elements from the Amalfi Coast. So that's what I'm drinking, and I am drinking it with tonic. So here, cheers. Cheers to our love of gin and our love of Italy and Ireland that we've been celebrating so far.
Absolutely. So I will butcher the Gaelic, but I think it's sláinte is what we say.
Very good. Very good. Well, thank you for everybody who's joining us today. And if you're watching us later, feel free to still comment, and we'll circle around and answer any questions or continue to engage with you. But it's also nice to be launching this today because we got amazing news from the CDC. I actually sent out an email this morning saying the CDC is still telling people, even if you're vaccinated, not to travel. And that changed at some point today. There was a news bulletin that went out. I have the New York Times right here, so let me just read the highlights. It says, Americans who are fully vaccinated against the coronavirus can travel at low risk to themselves, both within the United States and internationally. But they still say you need to take a bunch of precautions. So they have a bunch of guidelines. I also printed that out here between vaccinated and non-vaccinated. There's 6 criteria. So we're allowed to go, but we may not be able to arrive because there are still a lot of countries that do not want Americans, including, I started to make a little bit of a list and then I stopped because it was so long. Americans right now cannot go to Italy, France, Belgium, Germany, Spain, or Portugal, New Zealand, India, Bhutan, Thailand. Mostly we can't go. There are the few places we can go are the Maldives. We can go to Mexico, Costa Rica, Brazil, which is having its own pandemic problems, right? And in Turks and Caicos, you can go with a certain type of test. You not just any test. You have to have a special type of COVID test. And the whole Caribbean is, it's a patchwork of depends on the island, right? Which is why you need a travel advisor like me to help you sort all that out. But here are the rules right now, as of today, April 2nd. If you're not vaccinated, you have to get tested 1 to 3 days before traveling out. You do not if you're fully vaccinated. Before you come back to the U.S., whether you're vaccinated or not, you have to have a test. And I know many suppliers who are providing that to their guests. And if you test positive, they're even allowing you to stay there longer for free. Or they'll throw in the food. Now, you still don't want, even if you can stay for free, you still don't want COVID. Even if you're asymptomatic, you still don't want it. So that's like a small consolation. But they're doing that in order to make people feel safe in case they happen to test positive and they can't get back to the United States because they tested positive. So not all suppliers are doing that, but some hotels and resorts are. And I know which ones are. So everybody, if you come back, you still need a test, whether you're vaccinated or not. 3 days before. Then you have to also test yourself 3 to 5 days after you get back, both if you're vaccinated or not. And then if you're fully vaccinated, you don't have to quarantine. If you're not vaccinated, you have to quarantine yourself for 7 days with a negative test. If you tested negative, even if you test negative, you still have to quarantine for a week. And if you don't get a test, you have to quarantine for 10 days. And then both, if you're vaccinated or not vaccinated, you have to monitor yourself for symptoms, and they still highly recommend you wear a mask, even when you're traveling. So it's good. We're not there yet. I gather Biden said we're not in July. We're still in April. So there's still cautions. But it is a big change from them saying no travel at all. So that actually is pretty good news. And I was pretty excited to hear that. I mean, we came up with this idea, or you came up with this idea to do this, and I was fully on board because we wanted to figure out a way to help people to travel or to feed that travel bug even while we were stuck at home, right? And so by offering a hands-on cooking lesson where they're doing it with you in real time, and then me bringing on someone on the ground in Italy or now in Ireland to do a tour, we're trying to bring people there as close as they can get without actually physically being there. So that's the goal, and we're going to continue to do this actually through the end of the year. Because I don't think travel is really going to come back fully until 2022. I think people are going to start dipping their toes in starting in July. And even with this big news, it'll be interesting to see. Delta, for example, I think just announced they're going to start selling their middle seats. So I am really monitoring who I think is doing things well, and that will redound to their benefit when I'm thinking in the future. and who is not. Like Delta will always have a special place in my heart because they always stopped selling the middle seats, whereas American and United did not. And I didn't agree with that personally. They were saying, oh, there's 6 feet in front of you and 6 feet behind, not taking into account. It's not about the proximity. It's about the density of people on the plane that increases the risk. So, and the New York Times also earlier this week provided, and I can put this in the comments, a really good questionnaire where you can it helps you evaluate the risk if you're vaccinated for doing different things. So they ask, is it indoors or outdoors? Is it ventilated or not ventilated? Is it 10 people or more than 10 people? Are they vaccinated or not vaccinated? So actually, having seen that, I was on a call with a supplier who is doing small groups. They're only doing 10, but one of the questions I asked was, are you doing offering groups where they know everybody in the group is vaccinated? And they said no. So to me, that would be something that I would not be comfortable with. They said, oh, we're asking people to test, but we're not requiring people to be vaccinated. And that's fine, but with the smallpox, you had to get vaccinated to play in the Little League, in the 60s. So I don't have any problem asking people to be vaccinated from the coronavirus to go on a tour. So the only way that I would be able to work with them is if I came up with my own group of 10. And yeah, Laura, we saw that. We were talking about that the CDC finally said that we can travel. So we've been celebrating. And we're drinking the Amalfi gin. I am anyway tonight from Italy. Yeah, so the only way to safely do that is if I collected 10 people that I knew were vaccinated, and then we could go on a tour and we would have like our own pod. A lot of people can travel with their families, but I know a lot of people, a lot of my clients in DC are singles, or they're in couples. So we want to create a pod so that they feel comfortable traveling together, and that's going to be my goal. So, but let's turn to talking about Ireland and food and about what we're going to be doing on the 11th. Certainly very excited about that. I found a great Virginia Woolf quote, which was, one cannot think well, love well, or sleep well if one has not dined well. And I love that quote. And I think you said you had a dish that had that quote on it, don't you?
Yeah, when you were telling me about it, I laughed because on my shelf I have this.
That's so funny. This is why I love you. This is why we get along so well. All right. So, and you mentioned that the recipe that we're doing, the spring recipe that we're doing, was inspired by the Ballymaloe Cookery School in Ireland. Tell me a little bit more about that cookery school. Where is it in Ireland?
It's, I believe, County Cork in the Republic. It's and again, I might be wrong, but I think that's correct. It's been around for quite a while.
I think since the early 80s, I think.
Yeah. She's put, her name is Darina Allen that founded it. And I believe her daughter, Rachel. Is now heavily involved in it. And Darina put Irish food on the map to move away from the stodgy vision of Irish food being lamb stew or mutton and
potatoes.
So she just has always promoted, they have a farm and they promoted local ingredients in everything they make. They take advantage of the ocean nearby. They may incorporate seaweed in their dishes. It's all very, very, very local to Ireland. And again, I think we talked a little bit about this in Italy of terroir, which is a French term for the earth that gives the flavor to the grapes that flavor the wine, etc. And that terroir influences food as well, obviously, all foods. And you really do taste the country that you're in when you are eating local food.
Right.
And I think that's what Darina Allen has done, is brought the beauty of eating just wonderful food grown very close by to the table.
So like the minerals of the specific minerals of the soil and the fish that swim in those waters and that kind of thing.
Correct. And you even think about it with cheesemakers. The cow's milk that the cheese is made from depends on the flavoring of it, comes from what they ate while they were producing the milk. And so there's even a difference between milking a cow in the morning and milking a cow in the evening, because they've eaten different things that's processed over different hours. Summer cheese, is made from milks that where the cows were, or the sheep were grazing on fresh grass. Winter cheeses tend to be a different flavor because the cows were fed hay and dry grains during the winter. So
this is all the kind of history that we've probably lost since the Industrial Revolution, right? Of the know-how of how to do this, and how it really matters also, and understanding that. And so is she part of the slow food movement as well, or no?
I believe she is, and you and I were talking about slow food recently, and slow food is an actual organization that was founded in Italy back in the 80s, and I believe that I can't imagine that Ballymaloe is not part of it.
Right. Right. But they're also, but their key thing is local. Is she like the Alice Waters of Ireland, would you say, or would that be a stretch?
No, I would say that's pretty accurate. And even, she's growing everything right there. Right. I mean, she's very authentic. And the recipe that I'm doing is her basic recipe with my
your twist.
Yeah. As my husband would say, I've never met a recipe I couldn't change.
That's true. And I believe that our supplier partner for our event on the 11th, one of the tours they do is you can go there and take a class at the Ballymaloe Cookery School. So that's one of the things I think we're going to learn a little bit more about if you come and attend on the 11th. So that's going to be very exciting. We're also hoping that she has a special guest. We're going to focus, I think, on gardens and castles of Ireland, rather. And we're hoping she'll have like a special, maybe aristocratic guest who can take us on a tour of their estate, which will be pretty cool. So it's not nailed down yet. We're still keeping our fingers crossed, but I think that that's going to happen. The other thing I wanted to talk about in a preview of Ireland is this beautiful designer named Clodagh, and I have a couple of her books here, Life Enhancing Design, and another one is Your Home, Your Sanctuary. So these
how did you find her? I don't know her. Tell me about her.
So she's based in New York, but she was born in Ireland. I don't know how I know her. I don't know how I found out about her. I've known about her for at least 10 years because I know that she very much informed my renovation of my old apartment that I moved out of the end of last year. And one of the things I loved about her was her sense of design and its interaction with wellness and how important our spaces are to our well-being, which obviously I was very sensitive to, and it's sort of resonated with me that was her approach. She actually says that wellness, her goal is to create spaces where wellness takes over and people can rest. And I needed my home to be a place of rest and sanctuary. And she brings in feng shui. She talks about the chakras, which obviously, being a yoga therapist, resonated with me as well. She talks about the 5 elements of Chinese medicine: wood, metal. Let's see, what are the other ones? Earth and fire. Right? Did I get the 5? Earth, fire, metal, wood, and water. Yeah. So she brings all of those in. And then in terms of a designer, it was interesting. I was looking through the books earlier this week, and one of the things she said is she knows she's hit the right sweet spot with the design when there's nothing left to take away. And I thought to myself, as a travel designer and designing experiences, for me, that would be my goal as well. So the only things that are left are the things that are really deeply meaningful and really necessary. Because also part of the joy of traveling is those things that kind of happen by accident and that happen by magic. And that won't happen if there isn't a sense of spaciousness in your schedule. But the things that are left should be very purposeful and very meaningful. And I think that was true before the pandemic. I think that's exponentially true after the pandemic, because these experiences are going to be so much more of an antidote to our lives. Like, we need even more of an escape. So we want to make sure that, what we're doing is really meaningful and purposeful. And so when I'm designing a trip, that's really going to be, that was always my goal. It's going to be even more my goal. Then the other thing she wrote about that I loved was about what ultimate luxury is. And she said it's a sense of implied space. And I also feel that way in terms of the luxury of the trips that I'm designing, is that they have that kind of spaciousness, which is even more of a premium now because we don't want to be crowded on our trips, right? We want to know who we're with, and we don't want to be risking ourselves. The sense of space is also necessary for a sense of safety nowadays, right? And probably for the foreseeable future. So I wanted to highlight her because she is Irish. Oh, and also she's designed some of the best wellness resorts that in both the U.S. and abroad. There's a new Miraval that's opened up in Lenox that's gorgeous, and she was one of the designers, and my ears perked up when I heard that in one of the calls talking about this new renovated space. I think they're right near the Canyon Ranch, so they're not far in that same part of Northwest Massachusetts. And they said, yeah, it's designed by Clodagh. And I was like, what? And it turns out that she also worked on their renovation in their location in Tucson as well. And she worked on the Six Senses in the Douro Valley, which I know of because they have a very good sleep program. That's a place where I would send people who have problems with insomnia because they have a very good sleep program there. And she talks about trying to be both of a place and creating a place within the design that helps you be in the moment. Like people meditate to try to be in the moment, that the design helps support that you are where you are and not trying to be someplace else. And that's the goal of the design of these wellness resorts that she's been called in to design. So it was interesting to me that I knew about her, and that since then, and I've learned over the last decade, that she's actually designed several wellness places around the world. She herself is a big traveler. So she'll bring into also elements of the places that she's traveled and the things that she's learned on her travels. So she's a bit of a kindred spirit. She also has this great description of New York City as being a balsamic reduction of the world. That I thought that was a very good description, right? So she's a bit of a poet as well. And so her books are kind of fun to read. And so I just wanted to mention her because she's to me very Irish in her approach. The pictures in these books are beautiful, but the words are really beautiful as well. So again, it's Your Home, Your Sanctuary. This is her older book, and the new one is called Life Enhancing Design. So I just wanted to feature that. Now the last thing I wanted to talk about today is we have, if you sign up for our Flavors and Fun of Ireland, you get free a copy of our City Escape Dublin. So what this is a PDF that you can download, and it basically aims to help you create an escape over a course of a weekend so that you can escape and immerse yourself fully into the city. We have 3 other ones. I think we have Paris, Rome, and Copenhagen. But we offer something to taste. So in this one, we have Irish coffee. And we have the story about how the Irish coffee happened, which is a good story. Maybe I'll tell you that. Because I also do aromatherapy, I created an aromatherapy blend. This one is to evoke that sense of moss and greenery that Ireland is known for. So there's taste, smell. Then for feel, we feature some Irish local skincare products that you can get here in the United States that are all natural. Then we have a great playlist so that you can listen. Again, we're trying to bring in all the senses. So we could have gone a couple of different directions on this. We could have gone with folk music, and we decided to sort of dive in more on the Enya type of Irish Celtic music. So that's the playlist. Then we have some things to explore that you can do online, like the library at Trinity College and the National Gallery of Ireland, which are doing art meditations right now online, which is pretty cool. And again, this is all stuff that you can do, on a weekend if you're craving travel, and you get this for free if you sign up for our event. Then, of course, we offer some things to binge watch, a couple of really good suggestions curated by me. Some things to read, 3 novels, actually 2 novels and 1 book of poetry, because, of course, you cannot immerse yourself in Ireland and not taste some of the poetry. some podcasts, and then finally some things and places to dream about when we can go in real life to Ireland. One in the actual city of Dublin, and one called Cliff House, where you can actually take a bath outside. So they have some amazing experiences there. The one that's actually in Dublin, my coworker Chantal, this is at the Shelbourne. She was born in Ireland and used to go there when she was a child. They have what's called the horseshoe bar, and she used to sit up on that horse in the horseshoe bar when she was like 5 or 6. So this is available to buy on the website for $20, but if you sign up, you get it for free. So it was just another little incentive I wanted to mention. If you guys are interested in coming, that you will be able to extend our afternoon on the 11th. We're going to be, you get a bonus recipe as well, right?
Yes.
And
yes,
we'll also offer some cocktail recommendations to have along with your meal. But the recipe looks really, really good. I'm very excited to try it. One of the things is you have us making an oil to use as a garnish, and that's something that I've never done before. So, and one of the advantages of doing this is that you learn not just new cuisine, but new skills. So I'm actually very excited to try to do something I've never done before. I cook a lot and I make a lot of soups, but I'm usually not fancy about how I garnish them. So you show us a couple tricks about both how to do that and how to make them into hearts even and make it look really special for presentation, because how the food looks does matter, right?
You eat with your eyes first.
You eat with your eyes first, right? Right.
What we always say.
Was there anything else that you wanted to add about our event, or where do you want to go first when we're allowed to travel? Let me ask you that. Where do you want to go first?
Well, I probably will go to Ireland first because we have dear friends who live in Belfast, and we typically join them in Ireland and then go somewhere else in Europe once a year. And obviously that did not happen last year. So we've not seen them in person since July of 2019. So we keep saying when all of us are vaccinated, and we're 3/4 of the way there of the 4 of us. And when both countries will let us, we're heading over there right away. And we typically fly into Dublin and drive up or take a bus up to Belfast, because it's only a 2-hour drive. It's very close, and it's highway, so it's not.
Do they drive on the wrong side of the road too, like the Brits, or no?
Yes.
I wasn't sure. I've been to Ireland, but it's been a long time. I was in Ireland to visit Chantal because she was in college there. She went to the University of City Dublin. And so it was a long time ago, but I did visit her when she was in college. It was a long time ago for both of us. And I know too, you're interested in going to Iceland, and that's one of the countries that is letting Americans in. So it's one of the people that's letting us in.
Yes, and we do have one trip on the books from last year. We just pushed it out a year because we were supposed to go to Iceland last year. So we were taking our great niece with us, and it looks like she will get vaccinated in time, because that then became, as we say, the long pole in the tent for that trip. Because if she couldn't go, that wasn't the point. Although I'd go to Iceland any day of the week by myself, even.
What do you like about Iceland?
The air is the cleanest air I've ever breathed in my life.
And you feel that. You feel that, and you notice that.
As soon as you step off the plane.
Really?
It is amazing. The landscape is like no other.
I've only seen it in Game of Thrones, so.
Yes, and right now they have a volcano erupting over and over and over again, and it's very close to Reykjavik. It's only 30-minute drive. The tour guide that we always use over there has already said, I'll get you up there so you can see it, because they think it's going to continue erupting for a while. And even if it's not active, we can see it at least.
Isn't Iceland where that volcano went off that stopped planes from flying for a couple of weeks over from Europe? When was that?
2010.
Wow.
Yes, and it was weeks. It wasn't days. It was weeks.
Yeah, I remember that it was a long time. That was the last time the travel industry was really disrupted. They thought that was the end of the world,
Right. And that one was fascinating because that one kicked up a ton of ash, and that was the issue. This one is lava, magma coming out, so it's not creating that kind of an issue.
And
But
when
yes,
you go, you always do a cooking lesson too. When you go to Iceland or when you've gone to Italy, you always do a cooking lesson with some chef that's local, right? Yeah.
right. And that's how we found the tour guide, because I was looking for a cooking class, and I couldn't find one. And so I kept Googling, and I came across this tour guide who would pick you up wherever you were staying and take you all around Reykjavik and shop for ingredients, and then take you back to his house and cook a meal for you, a traditional Icelandic meal. So that's how I met Tiffy, and we became fast friends because he's a former chef, now tour guide. He
Good combination.
used to own a restaurant, so we can talk food. He knows history and mythology and geology. I mean, he's a fascinating human.
Speaking of that, let's talk about Context for a second, because I know you've taken a few classes and I've taken a few classes. So Context is a company that offers tour guides. They're one of the people. They're the company that I would use to give a tour on the ground. And while this pandemic has been going on, they have switched to doing courses online. And I know because of my recommendation that you've taken one or two. Two?
Two.
Yeah.
Yes.
I took 3 or 4.
Cleopatra's Table.
I'm sorry, what?
The first one I took was called Cleopatra's Table, and it was all about ancient Egyptian foods, which was right up my alley. And my second one was on the Negroni, the perfect Negroni.
That's amazing. Yeah. So I am an affiliate of them. So if anybody's interested, we do it on my newsletter. If you sign up for the PWT Index, we're doing a featured Context conversation every week. So I kind of go through and I curate ones that I think are interesting. There's a Scottish gentleman named Alan. I'm blanking on his last name. I think it's Cunningham. He did one on Outlander, which I loved, which was very good. I watched one on Poldark, which was not as good. One on the Medicis, which is very, very good. It was supposed to be 90 minutes. She couldn't stop talking because the Medicis are fascinating, right? And I had just been watching the show on Netflix. So I was like, okay, and I'm hoping my first place to go to as soon as things open is Italy. I would love to spend the holidays in Italy because I'm part Italian, and that would make me feel close to my mother and my ancestors. So we'll see if that happens, but that would be my goal. So I've been brushing up on the Medicis and some of the Italian history that I don't know of. I read the Florios of Sicily based on Laura's recommendation, one of our partners from See Italy. I read that last week and I loved that. I learned all about some of the history then and of Sicily and of the 19th century, the 1800s, basically, and all the political upheaval and what that meant economically. For southern Italy, which is where the part of Italy that my family's from. And then the other course I took was a course on Titian that I thought was very, very, very good, an art history course. So highly recommend Context Conversations. And if you're interested, just let me know and I'll send you the affiliate link. I think they're about $35 each. They're not that much.
I couldn't hear what you said.
That's my watch talking to me. I still haven't figured out my Apple Watch. All right, but we're at 33 minutes. I wanted to keep just this 30 minutes, but I'm glad we got a chance to brag on Context Conversations too, because I think it's another great way, aside from our flavors and fun, to sort of satiate that travel bug, because I think people love to travel because they love to learn new things and they want to learn new skills. And the other advantage, I think, of joining us too is that you'll meet like-minded wanderlusters, other people that love to learn, other people that love to learn new things. And so we have a Facebook group that those who attend are invited to continue to participate in, so we can continue to talk about our love of all things travel and of these different destinations. And in fact, we picked Ireland because that's what won the vote in the Facebook group.
And in the Facebook group this week, we had one of our people post her limoncello that she made.
Yes, from 3 weeks ago. That's so amazing. I'm going to do it someday. It's just, I just haven't managed it yet. Yeah, it was Tracy who made it, right? That made the limoncello?
Yeah, it was fabulous to see. It looked great. And she lemon trees.
And she said it tasted great too.
Yeah. She said it was potent.
So thank you for joining us. Next week I'll be here again at 5:00 next Friday. probably still be possible to join us, but we recommend that you join us as soon as possible so you can get the recipe list and the equipment list. Monica is kind enough to provide the list of equipment that you need, so you're not scrambling in the moment to try to find that spatula or wire rack or drizzle thing for the garnish. So we recommend you sign up as soon as possible. Also, because space is limited, there may not be space a week from today. And then the plan is for me to talk about, I may have a guest or not, I haven't figured that out yet, wellness rituals from around the world. So it's going to be very interesting. I think I have 21 different locations for 2021, or 21 different rituals from different places around the world of what different people and different cultures do to promote wellness. So that'll be interesting, and I hope you join us next Friday. And again, it's exciting to launch this on the day that the CDC gave us the green light to travel internationally. Now, if only we can land somewhere. We know we can take off. We just need to know we can land somewhere. So hopefully that'll happen soon. Hopefully very, very, very soon. So stay tuned and have a great Easter weekend for those celebrating. And we will see you on Sunday the 11th. So we hope you join us. We'll put the link to sign up also right below. Okay? Ciao.
Bye-bye.
Bye.